Hello folks, this is Alan recording another Best Out of One comprehensive draft video. Today we're going to be doing some Throne of Eldraine. Wars to Spark should be over in about a day, but from my experience, I haven't been very lucky with War to Spark due to the fact that there are too many powerful cards in that set, and cards that you really can't answer while Throne is slightly a little bit more balanced, I presume. Definitely a lot more balance compared to War, but they're both pretty fun sets regardless. Lots of archetypes to discover and explore, lots of interesting strategies and builds, so don't mind using my 5k gold on Throne of Eldraine. So let's begin. And the pack 1 pick 1 was our rare. Pretty powerful card, Opportunistic Dragon, probably the best flyer in this whole entire set. Most flyers tend to have 3 power or less, therefore they get answered by cards like Reef Soul, or, and this being 4 mana allows it to dodge cards like Glass Casket. 4 mana, 4/3 flying is already an excellent body for the most part, and when it enters the battlefield, you can basically gain control of another a target human or artifact the opponent controls, and then as long as it controls it, it loses all abilities and the card can't attack or block. So it's already a powerful 2-for-1 as long as it stays on the battlefield. From my experience, there tends to be lots of artifacts in this set, especially artifact creatures, and Opportunistic Dragon no doubt can usually find a target, and the human component is also quite relevant since there's some pretty aggressive human cards in this set. So Opportunistic Dragon is definitely a powerful first pick that I don't mind snagging up. Other good cards in this pack, there's a Shepherd of Flock as a great 2-drop. The 1 mana instant adventure ability can reset adventure cards and also protect a creature from a removal spell. And even then, afterwards you get a 3/1 body that can potentially trade off or do something. The return target permanent is nice with cards like Weapon Rack and All That Glitters in case a card that you're playing manages to get locked down. You can also return a Trapped in the Tower if you need to, or any other enchantments or permanents that you have. So you can also return lands as well, which usually isn't what you want to use this on, but a very versatile card, quite flexible, really good uncommon. And then there's Enchanted Carriage as a pretty decent curve topper on turn 5 for non-green decks. The reason why I say non-green is that most the green creatures in the set tend to be large already in the late game at 4 or 5 mana, therefore you don't necessarily need to prioritize this in a green deck. But the ability to put 2/1/1 mouse tokens onto the battlefield is nice, and then a 4/4 body which can attack or block and surprise the opponent for free without casting mana is nice each turn. It also can stay in the battlefield as an artifact, so it can dodge sorcery speed removal spells. So a pretty nice curve topper. The best common that we're looking at in this pack is the Reef Soul. Nice 1-for-1, pretty cheap removal spell. You want to use in the early game or against an opposing flyer, but really nothing in this pack can really compare to the Opportunistic Dragon as a first pick. And if we're going to take this card, we'll be leaning red, so we're going to be in a much more aggressively slanted oriented deck, and Opportunistic Dragon can be kind of our early curve topper that we need on turn 4. So let's snag it up, see what we have next. Right, now looking at this pack, what do we have? Keeper of Fables is definitely powerful and great. 5 mana 4/5 is pretty solid body, and whenever any non-human creature attacks, you draw a card. So it's definitely a powerful value engine in the late game, and also pretty hard to deal with. It pairs well with cards like Ginger Brutes and flyers that can maybe get in, and then you can trigger off from the Keeper of Fables and draw a card. So a pretty good card. Trail of Crumbs is great in the black-green food stack. It does mostly require you to be in that 2-color combination to get the most maximum outcome with this type of card, but if you're able to do so, it can just basically outvalue the opponent by drawing more cards than them, and can help you dig through your deck, find playables and whatnot, as long as you have enough food to support this. So a pretty nice black-green payoff card. Looking at the commons, there's also another Reef Soul that we saw last pack, and also a Scorching Dragonfire, which pairs well with our Opportunistic Dragon if we're planning to lean towards a more aggressive plan. So really, this pack is pretty good too, but I think the cards we're looking at are either Keeper of Fables or Scorching Dragonfire here. I would probably obviously take Scorching Dragonfire over Reef Soul, since we already have a card that we really want to play in red. Now the question is, do we take the Keeper or the Scorching Dragonfire? Keeper will allow us to be more flexible in case red isn't as open, and it can potentially set us up for something in green. It's also pretty decent in a red-green non-humans deck, since you're looking to play lots of non-humans, and Keeper Fables is a great curve topper in that type of deck. There's also, but Scorching Dragonfire would just keep us in color. It's a much more safer, reliable pick in case we just want to stick with red for now, and it's a pretty good removal spell for 2 mana, and removal is really important to pick up early in limited, since if you don't have enough, you won't get through for some damage, nor will you protect yourself early in the game. So really, it's just between these two. If I want to be more adventurous, I can take the Keeper. It will set us up in a red-green non-humans deck, which this is a good curve topper for, or it can give us an alternative color to build towards in case red isn't as open. But I think I'm leaning towards Scorching Dragonfire after this Opportunistic Dragon pick. Like, even if I do take the Keeper of Fables, and it does give me more room to, stick with green over red, I suppose, or red over green, etc. I feel like it's much better to just stay on color to kind of make our draft a little bit more easier with the Scorching Dragonfire. Keeper of Fables will be more of drafting the hard way. This card is definitely very powerful, and we might end up in like red and another color besides red-green, and the Keeper of Fable could be a miss, and we missed out on the pretty good removal spell in Scorching Dragonfire that we know for sure, absolutely sure we're going to play. So the thing you have to also evaluate in a pack is not only the power levels of the cards, but also the cards that you're most likely looking to play with your current card that you picked up. Scorching Dragonfire is a no-brainer with an Opportunistic Dragon. I want to play the Opportunistic Dragon. I would also play Keeper of Fables as well, but in case green isn't as open, we might have missed out on a really nice removal spell in Scorching Dragonfire that we might not pick later on in the pack. So I don't mind taking a Scorching Dragonfire, a slightly less powerful card than Keeper, but definitely a good card nonetheless, so I think I'll take it here. And now what do we have? Wandermare for the nice white-green adventures payoff card is fine. Spin Wheel isn't bad, helps you ramp. And in late game it can be kind of a way to, take out a creature, so to speak. But 5 mana is quite expensive. You really want to play this if you're kind of flooded or you're playing in a much more controlling deck. That being said, there's some decent red cards in this pack. Rimrock Knight for as aggressive 2-drop can be pretty decent. Ogre Aaron if we pick up more Knights. Bloodhaze Wolverine for the red-blue draw 2 deck is fine as well. Merreleaf Rider, Kiri's Pair, but I think I'm leaning towards a Rimrock Knight because I know for sure that this is the card that I'm looking to play in red. It's a 2-drop that I never really pass up a lot, while Bloodhaze Wolverine is more like for a certain archetype that's mostly going to excel at, and hopefully we can pick the Ogre Errants much later in the pack, since it's quite expensive, and in red you really want to be very aggressive, and Rimrock Knight just fits the archetype really well, so I'll take it. If we took the Keeper of Fables, I'd still be leaning towards this Rimrock Knight or maybe the Merreleaf Rider, but for now I think we'll just stick with red. Okay, so this is an interesting pack. There's an Edgewall Innkeeper that can lead us towards the red-green non-humans deck. Although it is a human, there tends to be quite a number of adventures that we can pick up, and we can draw cards off of this, so it's not the biggest deal, playing this out on turn 1, even though it's a human in the red-green non-humans. It tends to have we can extract a lot of value off of this card by drawing a lot. If we pick up enough more cards like Rimrock Knight onto... there is Wintermore Commander, which is probably the second best card in this whole entire pack. Doesn't fit well with our 2 first picks, but a pretty solid addition in Orzhov Knights. The other green cards are more mid-rangey cards we want to play in the red-green non-humans deck, which can be still possible, but red-green non-humans, you really want to stay low curved and hyper-aggressive with 16 lands to pressure the opponent. Ember Shield Paladin would be pretty decent in this deck if we're going mono-red, but it's not going to be exciting if we can't cast this in mono color. It's going to be just a 5/4/1 at the end of the day, but it can be okay, but I don't think I want to take it over a card like Edgewall Innkeeper, so I think I'll lean slightly towards the Edgewall Innkeeper here, just in case we do end up in red-green non-humans. We can pick up more adventure creatures, and this can be really nice as a great payoff. Wouldn't mind Smitten Swordsmaster too if we end up in red-black knights, but gotta take the most powerful card always, so Edgewall Innkeeper seems fine here. Ooh, and Probable Alliance looks excellent. This is still going late in the pack, so it shows that red-blue draw 2 can be open. Green is slightly open as well. I don't think I want to play Kiri's Pair in a red deck. This is a card I want to play in a black-green deck, even though it is an adventure for Edgewall Innkeeper. So here, I think we just take the most powerful card, again being Probable Alliance. This gives us some alternative routes. We could be in a red-green non-humans deck featuring adventures with Edgewall Innkeeper, or just a red-blue draw 2, which we could still be gearing up to be since it's kind of early in the draft. And this is a nice play on turn 2, and then in the late game, it's also nice late game mana sink in the late game to help fetch you playables and put creatures onto the battlefield with flying. So I don't mind taking this. Otherwise, if this wasn't in the pack, I think I would be looking maybe at Marrowleaf Rider or a Rosethorn Halberd, just for the aggressive red-green non-humans, or Scalding Cauldron as a pretty a 4-mana removal spell. Not the best, but it gets the job done. But yeah, can't really pass up on a late and Probable Alliance here. Alright, and now looking at this pack, nothing too exciting. Gambrick Squire is going to be best in white-green adventures. In red-green non-humans, this is a human, so it kind of interferes with the strategy. At the end of the day, it's mostly just going to be a 3/3 if you can get this triggered off, which is okay. Not super amazing. Don't think there's anything too amazing. I guess there's a Runaway Together that we can take in case we do end up in red-blue draw 2 as a serviceable interaction spell in case we need to bounce another creature from the opposing opponent, and also maybe bounce back a card that will draw us a card or save a creature. So I don't mind taking Runaway Together. I don't think any of the green, white, or black cards are worth it. Mantle Tides usually isn't even necessary in red-blue draw 2. So maybe just take a Runaway. Alright, well, this pack is interesting. Shine Chaser's late, but it doesn't fit in our color. Tome Raider seems to fit well in the red-blue plan, since it not only puts out a 1/1 flyer, but helps you cantrip and trigger the Improbable Alliance, plus other card draw spells. There's a 7 Doors, which we can pick up, which works well in any red deck, as long as you can pick up multiple copies. But then throughout the draft, you have to prioritize the 7 Dwarves, which I don't know if we want to, since the pack could have a Busted Bomb or a great removal spell that we don't want to take. But it's definitely a serviceable option. If Tome Raider was in this pack, I'd probably lean towards the 7 Dwarves here and stay open. The Rosethorn Halberd can be a nice weapon for an aggressive red green deck, but I think I'm leaning towards Tome Raider after taking Improbable Alliance and Runaway Together. And seeing that this is late, it seems like red-blue is just quite open here, and it is quite powerful with the Improbable Alliance. So I think this is the pick. And wouldn't mind another Rimrock Knight. There's also Gingerbrute, which is serviceable in the aggressive red deck. Queen of Knights could be fine since red-blue isn't hyper aggressive. We're a little bit more controlling in a sense, so we can kind of leverage the draw 2 abilities. I wouldn't mind Queen of Ice as a way to tap a creature down and put up a decent blocker, but Rimrock Knight is just a good 2-drop that you can play on 2. We would be leaning a little bit more aggressive in red-blue, but that can be fine. If we're able to maybe have another game plan besides the draw 2, we can maybe pressure the opponent early with the 2 drops and then use the draw 2 ability in the late game to kind of as a plan B component in case the aggro plan doesn't work out. And it's just a lot cheaper than Queen of Ice. I think I'm going to take it here, so let's snatch it up. And now I don't think I need a Jousting Dummy. Could take a Mantle Tides, which is actually serviceable in red-blue since you have plenty of flyers. Sometimes you don't mind just enhancing one and getting in for a little bit more damage. It also, you can equip at instant speed if you manage to draw with it. so you can maybe use this to ambush the opponent in a sense. So don't mind taking it here. Alright, and well, that's looking pretty nice. There's another Tome Raider, which works well with our Draw 2 plan. Raging Redcat would also be pretty nice with Rimrock Knights, but I think the theme of our deck is mostly focused on the card draw component, so I don't mind another Tome Raider, just an excellent follow-up with the Improbable Alliance. Raging Redcat would also be fine with the Rimrock Knights, but I think Tome Raider still gets a nod here. And happy to see a late Bloodhaze Wolverine. Plays well in the Draw 2 deck. Okay, so this is looking very good. I don't think we're heading to green. I think we're just going to force ourselves into blue-red, given that this pack and it's incredibly open. The packs tend to decide which archetypes you lean towards, given that the limited amount of free will you have over your choices. Yeah, I think red-blue is the way to go. Don't think I'm ever playing Wishful Merfolk since they can't really attack. Can be fine if I want to be more controlling, but not in a deck I want to play. And yeah, really good start. We have a pretty nice uncommon bomb with the Improbable Alliance in the red-blue draw to Opportunistic Dragons, a nice Curve Topper, some flyers. What do we need? We could use some better removal, a little bit more removal. Some decent Curve Toppers in the late game, more payoffs for the red-blue, maybe we pick up Mad Ratters or Steel Gaze Griffins. This can be pretty nice, and more ways to enable this effect can be pretty decent as well. But I'm pretty happy with this draft. These are drafts I tend to like a lot more often, drafts that tend to just make sense, and we don't have to be too creative or adventurous. Sometimes in draft, you just want to keep it easy and simple. You don't want to just try to be too adventurous to pull off too many insane combos or anything. Just maybe stick with 2 colors or even monocolor and call it a day. And this is the type of draft that I'm enjoying, so let's move on. Alright, and a rare, not a very playable card in Limited. Don't ever try it. It won't work. I mean, sure, you can maybe fetch a card, but you get the opponent a card too, and I guess you get a 2. I guess it's a 2-for-1 at the end of the day, but it's not really something you want to play since it actually helps your opponent out as well. Sir Alan's excellent, but not in our colors. There's Animating Fairy, which could be fine with the Mantle of Tides, but we currently don't have any adventures going on. I mean, not too many non-creature artifacts going on, and I don't even know if I want to play Mantle of Tides in the first place. It's pretty decent if you can pick up Golden Eggs in red, blue, I guess, or if you pick up early Witching Wells that you can upgrade. And a 3-mana 2/2 flying isn't the worst, but there is some higher variance and build around with this card. But I wouldn't mind playing it in this deck. Epic Downfall is the best removal spell in this set, but we can't play it. I think we're looking at a Searing Barrage in common. Just a nice Curve Topper removal spell. Just simple, you can cast this on 5, great by itself at instant speed. If we get this for Adamant, you can deal 3 damage to the opponent's face, which is really nice. Animating Fairy is a decent 3-mana 2/2 flyer, don't get me wrong, but it does require some more work. The fact that we do need to pick up more non-creature artifacts throughout the draft can make this a little bit more difficult to make this to have the fullest potential and value, of course. So I think I'm leaning Searing Barrage just again as just a simple pick here. Not trying to be too adventurous and just taking a nice late Curve Topper removal spell, which is excellent in any scenario, usually in the late game. So I think I'm going to take the Searing Barrage over the Animating Fairy. And here, well, that is a powerful card. Bone Crusher Giant's being passed, so red is definitely open to our left side of the bots. I mean, yeah, the left side. Otherwise, there would be Tome Raider as a nice cantrip, and also a Golden Egg. We did miss on the Animating Fairy, so Thrill of Possibility might be a better choice since you can use this on your opponent's turn and dig even closer. But I'm not going to pass up on the Bone Crusher Giant. Just an excellent 2-for-1, nice turn 2 play, which removes a creature, and then a 4/3 body the turn after is really excellent. But Tome Raider would be serviceable, Thrill, and Golden Egg would also be serviceable, but can't imagine not taking a Bone Crusher Giant here. I think it's a huge mistake, since it's a powerful rare. So let's take it. And now what? There's Into the Story, which is great if you are able to mill the opponent. and 4 mana for draw 4 cards is great. Otherwise, you don't really want to cast this for 7 mana, which we aren't looking to mill, so it's not going to be as best. Sages of Fall looks pretty exciting in this red-blue draw 2 deck, since red-blue definitely have a good number of non-human creatures. This enters the battlefield, can trigger a draw 2 effect, and it's also a decent blocker in the late game. So I'm really digging this Sage of the Fall as a pretty nice enabler and blocker at 5 mana. That being said, Savvy Hunter is great, not in our colors though. There's also a Merchant of the Veil, which is a little bit of a cheaper version than Sage of the Fall, but you do need to pay mana in the late game to get the looting to get going. It can be nice to enable it for this ability for a 1 red, but we are kind of competing against an uncommon here, which is a little bit harder to find. We could use a curve topper that can block pretty decently in the late game, and we should have enough ways to generate blue fairy creature tokens off the Improbable Alliance that we shouldn't have a trouble getting this to trigger. Merchant of Veil would also be pretty good in our deck too for 1 red, and then late game you can pay 3 to discard a card and draw a card, but Sage of the Fall is pretty much a free trigger activation if you can get a creature on the battlefield right away over just using the double colorless and a red. So I think I'm leaning towards the Sage of the Fall, since it's going to have its highest upside in this type of deck. And another one looks good. There's also Scorching Dragonfire. I think I just might take that over to Sage of the Falls. Can't get too awkward in multiples. I think we should have plenty of enablers right now with an Improbable Alliance, Double Tome Raider, and Sage of the Falls. Another one here would make our curve pretty high, and we already have Searing Barrage on 5 that we're most likely looking to cast. Wouldn't mind another Scorching Dragonfire as just a cheap removal spell in the early game. Helps exile, and we could use another removal spell, of course, but another Sage of the Fall would be pretty reasonable if this wasn't in this pack. But I think the removal spell is just a lot more important here, so we'll take it. And again, you don't really want too many expensive curve toppers, since it can get really awkward at times. That being said, it's going to be hard to decide which one to take here. There's Hypnotic Sprite, which plays well in our deck since we're looking to keep mana open with Scorching Dragonfire, sometimes the Bone Crusher Giant, Searing Barrage, and the Improbable Alliance activations. So Hypnotic Sprite is pretty good. It's a nice 2-for-1 where you counter a card and then you can place a 2-1 flyer. That being said, Sorkera is just a great value engine in the late game. Basically, it just helps you draw a card, and it's a nice way to basically ping the opponent for 1 or deal 1 damage to any creature in case you don't want to use any premium removal spells on 1 toughness creatures. Sorkera is really excellent. And I could use another 5-drop, even though it is looking quite expensive already. It does play pretty well in our deck. It doesn't trigger the draw effect, but it is a value card anyways that I don't mind playing in the late game. Hypnotic Sprite would also be excellent in this type of deck. But I don't know how often we're going to care too much about having a counterspell being kept up. It also can't counter big creatures, got to keep that in mind. But it can still be a decent flyer on turn 2 with double blue. But you do need to keep this up and make sure that the card gets countered, otherwise it's not going to get a ton of value. So I think Sorkera is just a lot more consistent, maybe even more powerful than the Hypnotic Sprite. I'll just take it here. Even though it's another 5-drop and is looking quite high or curve, I don't mind taking it. None of these cards we really want to play. Don't think Bargain really matters in this type of deck. We aren't looking to be hyper aggressive or trample over. Don't really think we can splash in this set. Don't think I want to play Overwhelmed Apprentice. Merfolk Scavenger can be fine if we get Improbable Alliance on the battlefield, or if we play more enchantments and artifacts. Pretty expensive, so I might not play it, but it will really depend on how our deck turns out. We already have a bunch of curve toppers that we don't mind playing, and the 4/5 body is a decent blocker, but we do have 5 toughness with Sage of the Falls anyway, so let's snatch it here. Here, well, we do have a couple number of knights, like these double Rimrock Knights in Sorkera, so this Trebuchet can be a way to kind of ping the opponent, I guess, and do some damage, which I don't mind, and it's an okay blocker with reach in case we need to deal with some flyers. Otherwise, Red Cap Raiders can actually be pretty decent in our deck too, as a pretty nice 3-drop that can tap down a creature and maybe get a decent chunk of damage in. So 2 choices here. I don't know. The game plan of this deck is to basically we're looking to be quite aggressive in the early game, but then in the mid game we aren't going to be too aggressive with all these 1/1 flyers. The Improbable Alliance is kind of our plan B in the late game to kind of help us to dig towards a to dig with more to dig and find more playables, and also cantrip and make 1/1 flyers. Sage of the Red Cat Raiders is for a much more hyper-aggressive red-green deck. I mean, it's still pretty decent in our deck if we're looking to be hyper-aggressive, which I don't know if we are. We're just a combination of both. A little bit aggressive in the early game, and in the mid-game and the late game, we're kind of playing defense. So this deck is a little bit more mid-rangey in a sense, that I don't mind just taking the Trebuchet maybe as an okay blocker that can ping the opponents, I guess. We do have double Rimrock Knight and Circara, which can kind of help untap this. I could be wrong here. This does deal with flyers, but we do have double Scorching Dragonfire, Bone Crusher, and Searing Barrage already to kind of handle them, and we can just make a bunch of flyers in the air with the Improbable Lines. So I don't know if this reach is too important. Maybe we could just take Red Cat Raiders, be slightly a little bit more aggressive in the red-blue draw 2 deck. Since Knights aren't really a theme in red-blue draw 2, this Brimstone Trebuchet isn't going to be incredibly amazing. We do have double Knights and Circara. Like, if we do pick up some Red Cap Raiders, this can be actually pretty decent here. So I don't really know here. It just doesn't seem very proactive, to be honest. It's more like a defensive card, or a card you want to play with lots of Knights at the end of the day. So I don't mind. I mean, both of these are kind of close. I think the Red Cap Raiders can have a little bit more upside, since this can still trade as a 3/2 body, and it can be a pretty decent attacker that can get in for a ton of damage in the early game. So let's take it. And Red Cat Raiders is here, so slightly punished, I guess, if we picked up Trebuchet. This Knight is looking pretty decent. Plays well to Rimrock Knights. It's another turn 3 play, non-human, that can be tapped by the Red Cat Raiders. Throw Mine would be fine, but I don't know how heavy we want to go with red. We are looking to be maybe more heavy red than blue, but I don't really care about 1/1 at the end of the day. So Red Cat Raiders seems decent here. And a Weaselback, I don't mind. There's also Bargain, but we have double Rimrock Knight already. Adventurous Paladin is looking to be more heavy blue. 4-mana 2/2 is almost literally not great in limited. But 4-mana 3/3 is a pretty decent flyer. But I don't think we're going to get blue Adamant too often looking at the red cards we want to play. So I think we can play a Weaselback maybe as a turn 1 Knight, in case we need to start out aggressive. And Thrill looks nice here. Just another way to cantrip and enable the Improbable Alliance. Nice value card as well. Jousting Dummy could also be fine too as another 2-drop, but our 2-drops are looking kind of stacked regardless. I guess Bone Crusher is more of a turn 3 play. So we do have like 4 2-drops a ratio. We should have enough if we manage to draft better in the following packs. But this Thrill is just nice as an instant speed trick that you can use on the opponent's turn to trigger the Improbable Alliance and dig deeper in our deck. Jousting Dummy is just mediocre, so I think Thrill gets the nod here. Now, I don't know we're going to go with the 7 Doors plan at this point, since they are looking kind of late, but I think I'll take it over to Mistford River Turtle if I need to. And another Red Cat Raiders. Don't know if I want to play this. Like, 3s are looking kind of stacked already, but I guess I don't really want to play Gargoyle or blow your house down this deck, so just put in the sideboard. Could be a deck for Ember of Paladin, we'll see. Not non-human, but can be fine. And a Bargain. Okay, so red is definitely very open in this pack. I mean, it's almost so open that we could literally be in mono red if we have to. But I don't know if we want to go that route since we have Improbable Alliance. I guess if we don't pick up enough payoffs for the red-blue draw 2, I guess we'll just be in mono red, and we already have a pretty strong setup already, depending on what we open next pack, because this Mantle is not a great payoff for red-blue draw 2. The only reason that we're going red-blue is just for the Improbable Alliance, and we could still just be in mono red at the end of the day. So yeah, we could just replace the Tome Raider for Red Cap Raiders, so we'll see what comes up. And another Opportunistic Dragon is broken. However, there is Fairy Vandal, which is an excellent 2-drop in the red-blue draw 2. Animating Fairy is still not going to be amazing in this deck. Otherwise, I don't think the commons make sense. So it's between these two, Fairy Vandal and Opportunistic Dragon. If we want to commit to the red-blue plan a little bit harder, this Fairy Vandal is definitely an excellent 2-drop that I can see having a lot more upside than the Improbable Alliance. That being said, we could still be mono-red, and the Opportunistic Dragon would be great either way. In red-blue or red, or mono-red. We do have, I mean, if we go mono red, it's not. We don't have a pretty efficient 2-drop slot yet. So I mean, we might as well just commit to red blue and maybe just take a Fairy Vandal as a good 2-drop that we can constantly grow in the late game. Opportunistic Dragon is a little bit more clunky as a 4-drop. It's definitely very powerful. Like having 2 of them is pretty busted already. But I think if we're going to commit to the red-blue plan, the Fairy Vandal makes a little bit more sense as just an excellent 2-drop that can constantly grow even larger than an Opportunistic Dragon. Opportunistic Dragon is more situational with the ability to lock down a creature, but a 4-3 flyer is still very strong nonetheless. If we're going to mono-red, we have to get rid of the Runaway Together, Mantle Tides, Improbable Alliance, Moonlit Scavengers, which is fine, Sage of the Falls, and double Tome Raider. And then this will be our deck. We do already have a Red Cat Raiders, but our 2-drops aren't looking too exciting. I don't think Bloodhaze Wolverine will be amazing in mono red, and I don't know if the 7 Doors plan is going to come to fruition. So I think, regardless, I think we want to just stay with the red-blue draw 2 plan here, just because the deck might just seem a little bit more powerful. Therefore, the Fairy Vandal it's a pretty good 2-drop to play. But I would just take the Opportunistic Dragon if Fairy Vandal wasn't in this pack. And Opportunistic Dragon is definitely a much more powerful card than Fairy Vandal, but if we're looking to play in blue-red, it's going to be a little bit better than an Opportunistic Dragon, since you can flash this in, and you can just constantly grow this larger than an Opportunistic Dragon over time. So I think I'm leaning towards Fairy Vandal here, but Opportunistic Dragon would be great, and I just want to commit to blue-red draw 2 more than mono-red, since mono-red doesn't seem too appealing with the picks here. And the second one, well, definitely got rewarded for staying open with the Fairy Vandal on 2. Think I'm taking the Improbable Alliance over Searing Barrage. If we're mono red, our 2-drops would kind of suck, but this Searing Barrage would also be pretty nice for our deck. But yeah, double Improbable Alliance is pretty stupid and broken. Also Golden Egg, that's playable in our deck too. And here, that's a late Castle Vantress that I don't mind taking. Can help scry in the late game to find better playables, and also a land that we can take. A second Sage as a Fall would be pretty decent, but I don't know if you want to play 2 of them. Like, we could just cut the Moonlit Scavengers and go for 2 of them, I guess. But I think we should have enough card draw in this deck already. A single Thrill, maybe double Improbable Alliance, double Tome Raider, and already a Sage of the Falls. I don't think we need 2. I think the land might be a little bit more important just to have a little bit more diversity. Also kind of great in the late game since the Scry 2 is quite relevant. I mean, it gives us an option to either loot with the Improbable Alliance or Scry 2. So I think I'll take it here. And we should, I think, since red is very, okay, well, that's pretty busted. Yeah, let's snatch it up. This deck is going to be incredibly powerful. And the Bloodhaze Wolverine, I don't mind as another 2-drop. Don't think I need a Mantle. Best card is Okame Adversary. Don't think we need a Ginger Brute in this type of deck. So this is looking great. So Tiny. There's also Scalding Cauldron. So Tiny is not going to be hyper amazing since we're not looking to mill the opponent. Don't think I'm playing 7 Dwarves at this point. I think our 2-drop slot is stacked. Our removal consists of a Searing Barrage, maybe Opportunistic Dragon, maybe Moonlit Scavengers, double Scorching Dragonfire. Don't know if we're even going to play Bargain in this deck, and Runaway Together as an interaction spell. So I don't mind a Cauldron as a decent artifact we can play on turn 1, and then later as a removal spell. Soul Tiny can be fine, but it's not going to be its best. Best card in this pack is Savvy Hunters, but red-blue is already looking amazing. Don't mind a Charm Sleep as another removal spell. Queen of Ice could also be fine, but it's not amazing. At the end of the day, it's just a blocker that can hold off for a single turn. But Charm Sleep is looking good. And an Opt looks excellent. Another way to cantrip to grow our Fairy Vandals. So this is a pretty busted deck so far. I wouldn't mind Ferocity of Wilds. I think it would be actually pretty excellent in this deck, since we're looking to generate lots of flyers, and they tend to be non-humans, and we can get that extra point of damage. Otherwise, a Weaselback Red Cap is kind of replaceable. It's not going to be too exciting in this red-blue deck, so I think the Ferocity might make the cut. Don't think I need another Moonlit Scavengers, but I'll take it. Don't think I'm playing any of these, just taking an uncommon for the Vault. And yeah, this is looking good. I think this deck is incredibly broken and absurd. So now we just kind of have to lay our deck out to find out how we want to do this. Don't think we care about the Ember of Paladin. Sure, it can be a haste creature that we can surprise the opponent with, but a 4/1 can easily get blocked off and killed, so I think I'm cutting it. Could see myself cutting the Mantle Tide, since Fairy Vandal can already grow already. The Bloodhaze Wolverine can get first strike. It can be fine with our flyers, but we should make enough of them that we don't really need to equip Mantle Tides. So not a great card. I think I like the Opt. I like the Cauldron. Cauldron has a turn 1 play. Charm Sleep is looking nice. Searing Barrage is a good removal spell. Double Scorching Dragonfire and Runaway Together looks decent with the Tome Raiders here. So now what other cuts can we do? I think I like the 5s. I think I like the Moonlit Scavengers just as a curve topper here. It plays well with our Double Improbable Alliance and Scalding Cauldron. So I think the cuts here, I definitely played Bone Crusher. I don't know if we want to play Raging Redcap. I don't think we can, even though it plays well the Rimrock Knights, it's not going to be at its best in this type of deck. Since you're looking to the only way this can be good is if you can constantly pump this. I guess if we have Ferocity, it can be okay. But it's gonna be a bit niche to get this really good. I think I like the Thrill. I think I like the 2s. I could just cut the Weasel back, to be honest. It can be a fine late game mana sink, but it's not gonna be at its best in this type of deck. The win condition in this deck is basically to fly over and be a lot more aggressive than usual. So I think we can cut the Weasel back here. We could just cut the double Rimrock Knights since they can't block anyways. I guess we can just cut the Knights theme. Like if we just cut the deck like this, I think we can just call it a day. We should have enough 2-drops with Improbable Alliance on 2, Double Bloodhaze Wolverine, and Fairy Vandal that we don't need to care too much about the early pressure from the Rimrock Knights. Runaway Together is actively good in this deck, I think. I guess we can cut the Red Cat Raider since it's not going to be great anyways, so I think I can cut it. The Ferocity looks fine with the Flyers. I don't hate it, since if we can go off, they can trigger and do a bunch of damage, or I could just cut it anyways. Let's say I cut it, because we're going to win with Flyers regardless. We don't really care about triggering them. It can be a pretty decent upside, but we can usually get there if we just swarm the opponent and go all out. So, how many ways do we enable? Improbable Alliance enables draw 2 by itself. Tome Raider already enables it. Sages of the Fall enables it. Thrill is enabler. Opt. I guess Runaway is not the best, but it seems pretty good, since if we can bounce our Bone Crusher Giant, we can get in our activation. We can bounce back a Tome Raider to get another activation, even Moonlit Scavenger, so it's looking really good. So if we need 2 more cards in this deck, what do we play? Could just play double Rimrock Knight. Don't think Bargain is going to be too amazing. Yeah, I could see maybe just going double Rimrock Knight. I could play the Red Cap Raiders as well. Since Rimrock Knight can't even block and it gets traded off by 1 toughness creatures, it's not the most amazing 2-drop, and we're not looking to be hyper aggressive to smork the opponent at all. I guess in this case, Ferocity of the Wilds can be fine. We're kind of lacking creatures at 11 though. We can make a bunch of them with Improbable Alliance, and I'd rather have a card that can block as a 2-drop if we're going with the Improbable Alliance plan in case we get overrun. That I don't know if Rimrock Knight is going to be at its best in this type of deck. So, I mean, there's a possibility Quarter Monitor can be fine actually as a decent blocker on 2, in case we want to leverage the draw 2 plan, and then Mantle maybe to kind of enhance the flyer and instant speed. Not looking great, but it can be fine. Weaselback, I guess we can play maybe as something that we can do on turn 1 that we can pump and trade off later. Because I don't think the plan is to aggro them in the early game and rush them down. At the very least, I think the plan is to just leverage the improbable alliances again, make a bunch of flyers, and win through the air. So the game plan is definitely to win through the air, for sure, with the double Tome Raiders, Fairy Vandal, and Opportunistic Dragon, and the million flyers we're going to make from Improbable Alliance. That's the game plan, while the rest of the cards can kind of hold the fort or get in a little chunk of damage. So I don't mind the Quarter Monitor. Actually seems pretty decent as a pretty nice blocker for our deck, and maybe just put in the Weaselback as an early turn 1 play that we can enhance and maybe trade off. Mantle Tides is not amazing. Wishful Merfolk maybe as a 2-drop, but it can't attack. Weaselback can maybe block an attack, which is nice. Frosty Wilds, again, it's pretty nice with the flyers, but I think we can get there without giving them trample. Just honestly, just by swarming the opponents with the flyers, we can win without giving them the trample. So I think most likely the Weaselback could just make sense here as just a 1-drop that we can pump to trade off for a larger creature in the early game. Like, we aren't hyper aggressive. I don't care about having a ground attacker like Redcap Raiders too often. Raging Redcap needs to get pumped, otherwise it sucks. So we would need cards like Rimrock Knight and Ferocity Wilds, but I do need some blockers if we're looking to do the Improbable Alliance Flyers plan to kind of stave off in the early game, and Rimrock Knight doesn't really block. So that's a bit of an issue. So yeah, maybe the Weaselback, maybe it can pump and trade off for a larger creature in the late game. It can be fine. So now what? Let's look at this deck. We're kind of even split between blue and red. But I do want Adamant with a Searing Barrage. What other Adamant payoffs do we have? Not really anything besides the Searing Barrage. So I can see myself just going 9-8 for at the very least. I mean, I do want to cast the Fairy Vandals much more consistently on 2 since they're a lot more powerful. So I don't know which one do I need more. I do need double red for Opportunistic and Sir Kara. I do need double blue for Charm Sleep and blue in the early game for Fairy Vandal. And I do want Adamant with Searing Barrage. So I think we lean slightly towards red a little bit more. And I think this is our deck. Terrible pun, but I'll use it anyways. I mean, Cauldron is a removal spell too, and it pairs well with Moonlit Scavengers. But yeah, let's think through this again. Mantle doesn't enhance too much, so we don't care. So this Mantle isn't going to do too much, just enhancing a creature with +1/+2. Wishful Merfolk is just a blocker, we don't care. That can trade off. Rimrock Knight needs to block. We are looking to... we need some blockers to kind of leverage the flying plan, so I don't think it's going to be its best. 7 Dwarves we only have 1 of. We don't want... Ferocity Wilds is kind of just a... We do need to have a large amount of creatures for Ferocity Wild to work out very well, and we don't currently have any too much unless we can kind of leverage Improbable Lines. But usually you can win the game by just swarming them instead of pumping them. Raging Redcap isn't a good blocker unless you can pump it. Raging Redcap Raiders just a 3/2 at the end of the day. So I think we'll just go with this plan. I think it's obviously 17 lands, more lands to discard with the Improbable Alliance, and therefore we can play this Moonlit Scavenger, which seems actively good in this type of deck. So let's give it a go. Pretty terrible pun, but we'll go for this. As long as we can play out the Improbable Alliance on 2 and manage to defend and draw a bunch of cards, we should get there. But we need to make sure we have at least 6 lands on the battlefield to make sure we get there in the late game. Could take a Thrill. I don't mind Bone Crusher on 2, and then we can shoot something down, and then shoot something down, play it, and then we do have some removal spells back up. So I think this is a fine keep. Start out with a Mountain, because we know we're playing red. And then we can follow with double blue, eventually with the Charm Sleep plan. Alright, Fairy Vandal on 2 seems excellent. So I could just flash in end of turn. It depends on what the opponent does. If he does play a 2-drop, I don't mind Bone Crusher gianting it, and then playing it out the turn after. I think I will, since the Fairy Vandal, I could flash out and get in for a point of damage, but I do want to just, I think Bone Crusher just doing this now early is really nice, since I can just play it out and get in for a chunk next turn. And this is looking good. Bone Crusher onto the battlefield. If we pick up another land, we can Fairy Vandal, maybe Thrill. I do want to throw away a land though. I don't know if I want to use Fairy Vandal. I could Scorching Dragonfire this, but he can't really block this profitably. So I think I can attack in for 4. See what the opponent does end step, and then flash in the Fairy Vandal. So I think I'm going to attack here. Don't see a reason to play Bloodhaze Wolverine. I guess this could be a card I could discard with 2 to Thrill. But obviously going to flash in the Fairy Vandal end of turn. Really depends on what he does. If he tries to equip this with something, I'm obviously going to Scorching Dragonfire, so it doesn't get enhanced. But I can definitely take 2 for now and flash in the Fairy Vandal end of turn to dodge Sorcery Speed removal. The Jousting Dummy, I think I can let that resolve. Yeah, and we can flash this in. This is looking really nice. I could just play land and Fairy Vandal. I could flash in another Fairy Vandal and Drill end of turn on his turn. I don't mind that. So Mountain looks good here. I think I can attack with both. I could just play out the Bloodhaze to maybe trade for the Jousting Dummy, or I can just keep up the instant speed removal. But I think this is fine, and I think we should be able to outrace if we have 2 Fairy Vandals and a Thrill to instant speed that. So I think this is fine here. Okay, probably has a removal spell for this Fairy Vandal. A Joust. Well, I can punish him now with Scorching Dragonfire, so thank God we put this at instant speed. So that's a huge blowout. That's a 2-for-1. Opponent doesn't have enough mana to trade with the Jousting Dummy, so he's going to have to take a lot of damage. The Ginger Brood, I don't care. And he's just going to play aggressive. Well, I guess I can flash in the Fairy Vandal now to ambush the Ginger Brutes, but he could activate this in response, and I'd rather have him do that right now, so he doesn't have an extra mana up, so this is looking good. I could just thrill at instant speed here, I don't care. I could just discard Bloodhaze since it's not going to do much. I think I'll just do that. Double lands, alright. Alright. Yeah, Fairy Vandal looks really broken in this deck, especially with 2 copies. Could have had double Opportunistic Dragon, but this deck is definitely looking very nice. Let's keep playing. Alright, Fairy Vandal on 2, Improbable Alliance on 2, Weaselback to begin with, and then we can play Island, flash it in, and then have Improbable Alliance up. I think this is a good keep. The opponent's going to see we have a pretty busted deck. He might just concede. Opponent on blue, so I think I'll play this out. Attack the Weaselback, don't pump it, and end of turn we can flash into Fairy Vandal. Could play out the Improbable Alliance and take it slow, but I do want to put a flyer on the clock. Opponent has a Border Monitor. Okay, I'll just flash in the Fairy Vandal in response. I could just thrill at instant speed, but I think I want to put the Improbable Alliance first before I do so. So let's just play out the Castle Vantress, pull up the Improbable Alliance, get in there. And then next turn we can thrill at instant speed. and also make a fairy. I could just main phase it, in fact. There's no reason for him to be aggressive with this 1/4 since I'm the one that's out racing. I guess he has a second blocker up now. But, ooh, Fairy Vandal, so that's even better than Thrill. So let's just cast the Tome Raider here. And I don't mind playing a land since we already had have another land to discard, and we want to eventually get to 6 mana. So I guess now we can start winning through the air. If he has Witch's Vengeance, that would be pretty bad, since he can just deal with all my fairy tokens. The Reef Soul, sure. But I should make enough flyers to kill the opponent. Looking to keep up food. Don't mind taking 2 since I'm already out racing him at this point if I make enough flyers. Queen of Ice, don't care. Not blocking this. Sage of the Fall actually looks really good. But I don't know if I want to cast it yet. I could just Thrill instead, and that can actually be better, since I don't really want to discard my Thrill or Runaway together, which could be important. So I think Thrill here is the play. We can discard a Mountain. We should eventually get a land anyways off the top. And do I play another Tome Raider? I guess I could. But it's another trigger activation. May just play out Sages of the Fall next turn. Maybe keep up Runaway. Could be quite important for this deck. I don't know if the opponent can outrace us if we're making constant flyers and threats. The Ginger Brew I don't mind blocking and trading off, since that can gain them life, and it's also going to deal damage as well. Next turn, the Sage of the Fall will be a pretty decent blocker. So he's not attacking the Ginger Brood, he's keeping it back. That's reasonable. Don't care. I guess his plan is to play out the Queen of Ice. And that's fine as well. Could run away end of turn, but I don't think I want to run away anything since this can make a food, this can retap. Quarter Monitor and Ginger Brute aren't too scary. Ooh, and a Bone Crusher Giant. I could just use it here. I could Bone Crusher and Tome Raider, in fact. I think I like that, or I can just play out the... yeah, I think I like this, just getting rid of the Ginger Brute is nice. Could just play another Tome Raider here. I guess I like the 4/3 blocker to deal with the ground, so I think I'll just cast it. And we can get in with the flyers. Ooh, accident. Oops. Shouldn't have sent in that Weaselback Redcap. That was a big misplay. Yeah, that was a little bit too trigger happy. So this could have at least maybe trade off for a larger creature in the later games. But kind of got slightly punished there. So really bad clicking too fast here. But we're still looking good with this on the battlefield. And we still have Sage of the Fall, which can block and also trigger and make another flyer. I do have Runaway to keep up with the Bone Crusher Giants. But I think I want to keep this back behind on defense, at the very least. Alright, another Ginger Brute. I guess that can get him for 1. That's not going to do much, since I'm kind of out-racing him already. Opponent's playing blue-black control, so his strategy should be to mill me out, not to kill me, not to just out-aggro me. And a second Improbable Alliance is pretty busted here, especially with Tome Raider, so I think I'll play this. And now we can make even more flyers. He has something at instant speed, maybe a Runaway together. Drown in the Lock. Okay. Well, that's a decent one. But we still have a Tome Raider to follow up here. And I can keep the land in hand at discard for the Sages of Fall. But for now, we'll just swing for 3 in the air. Unexplained is a little bit too slow. Draws him a bunch of cards, but it's still a slow card at sorcery speed, and he won't be able to do much this turn. He would need some board wipe to deal with my board, but I already have ways to enable the Improbable Alliance a million times. And then we can discard the land. Do I draw a card and discard? I think I'll do it too. Yeah, just discard another land at this point. And he should be dead next turn unless he gains a million life. He would need Witch's Vengeance off the top to maybe deal with my flyers. But again, I can start making them back again. Reef Soul, sure. I can still block profitably if he goes up for an all-out attack. Bloodhaze Wolverine. Could just play out Circara. I think I'll attack first. I might as well just play out Circara. A Fairy Vandal. I could just run away together. Sure. And if I run away together, what happens? I guess he only ambushed one flyer. It's not the end of the world. And I can kill him next turn. I could just run away together now, and that's 6 damage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I guess I can just do that now. Why not? I deal 2 damage to myself, but that's fine. This should be 6 damage, lethal. Alright, sweet. Yeah, this deck is very powerful. Happy that I took the route of the red-blue draw 2 and remained open. The extra Scorching Dragonfire really helped leverage this powerful red-blue deck. Let's keep going. Alright, Weasel back on run 1. Do need to get the 4 mana for the Opportunistic Dragon. I do need blue mana for the Improbable, but I think I can risk it here. I'll eventually have Opportunistic Dragon and Improbable Alliance maybe online. I just need a single blue for now. Hopefully I don't draw more blue cards, but I think this is a fine keep. I'll risk it here. And even then, we can attack in for 3, depending on what we draw next. Okay, he's on the mill plan. Well, those are nice blue lands that he just milled, but I drew one anyways, so I'm happy to play out the Improbable Alliance here. Get in for 1. So this can be kind of our bane facing against the mill deck. So we do want to be a little bit more aggressive towards this opponent and make sure that we can finish him off. We don't want to draw too much again, so I think we pass here. Next turn we can play out the Opportunistic Dragon to start flying over, or maybe we can attack the Weasel back and get rid of this Merfolk's Secret Keeper in case he has a counter spell up. He could have a Didn't Say Please, which is bad for me to keep up. I guess a Heroic Banner I can definitely play around. So I guess this will be a trade if I pump. So I don't think I pump it here. I guess I can steal the Heroic Banner now with the Opportunistic Dragon, so that looks very nice. No attacks. Opponent's in mono blue mill, I'm presuming. Since he is playing this Heroic Banner, he is in mono blue. So it should be pretty difficult for him to deal with these Opportunistic Dragon unless he can bounce it away. And he's using Queen of Ice, which I don't care too much about. I guess he can bounce this back and mill me more, but I will still have my 4/3 flyer in the air, which he needs to deal with. Next turn, I think Circara might just be the better play over Sages unless I top deck another land. To loot away, I can start generating flyers with this Sage. Alright, opponent's on the mill plan. So I gotta be careful here. Not trying to I have an opt. I guess I could Sage here. I guess I could attack, and if he decides to block, I can double pump the Weaselback Red Cap. No, actually, Sarkara just seems better. Yeah, Sarkara just seems better. Make sure he doesn't have too much mill going on. I don't mind drawing here, as long as I can kind of kill him off. That's fine. Opponent has to play defense. He only has 3 cards in hand. The Enchanted Carriage can block pretty reasonably. I guess I could take out one of his mouse tokens so he can't crew. But this Sage of the Fall can block profitably anyways. So I might use a Sarkara to kill the 1/1, but he's just going to he's mostly going to, yeah, let's just use this to ping the face. I think this makes more sense. I don't think his plan is to play aggro with the Enchanted Carriage, so I don't really care about killing a 1/1. This isn't going to draw me a card, but at least it finds me a playable off the top. And this Runaway, I don't really want to use this, in fact, so I think this will have to be exiled. I guess the Tome Raider seems fine here. Don't think I need Sage. Sage can help me block, but again, I don't think his win plan is aggro. So yeah, I think I like the Tome Raider. And I can discard a land to the Sages of the Fall if I need be. And land is good. And yeah, let's get in there with the Opportunistic Dragon. Kind of win the game with flyers. Gotta be careful again not to draw too many cards, otherwise I'll die. So I do need to just send everything to the face here. Opponent doesn't seem to have any bounce spells. I don't really care about this Enchanted Carriage. We're outracing him in the air anyways. Could just loot with the Improbable Alliance instead. Like, this stage can just be kind of weird. I guess it's a May ability, so I don't necessarily need to activate this. So I think I'll play this out next turn to kind of loot away the island and trigger off from this Improbable and have a pretty decent blocker. Here I don't really care. 4 damage is no big deal. Don't think his win plan is to be aggressive. So I can obviously take 4. His win condition is looking to mostly mill. So I don't care too much about this Enchanted Carriage. Since he's not going to be hyper aggressive and win through damage. Moonlit Scavengers, sure. He can get back the Opportunistic Dragon, I guess. Sure. Put me behind a bit. In that case, what do I play next turn? This is a Merfolk. I guess I do want to replay the Opportunistic Dragon and maybe opt. That seems reasonable. And what do I take away? I think the Heroic Banner still makes a little bit more sense, getting rid of that so he doesn't pump his creatures. And then I can opt here. And I can ping him end of turn with Sarkara. Do I need to red? Probably not. I think we'll bottom it. But yeah, let's get in there in the air. I could have taken the carriage, but I don't want him to attack me with all these creatures, so I think it's fine to say go. I do have chump blockers in the air, of course, if he wants to constantly attack. So do I mind trading off for the fairy? Probably. I don't mind chump blocking the fairy at all. Could trade off with Sarkara, in fact. Like, I could just block the Enchanted Carriage and trade it off. So I do have an air army going. I don't mind that since I already have enough ways to draw cards, and I don't really want to draw too many cards off the top of my deck by exiling, so I think it's fine to just do this. Still take 4. Hengewalker, don't really care. I think in mono blue, the plan is to mill, not to be hyper aggressive at the very least. So opponent's on a 2-turn clock. This is looking excellent. I can play out the Fairy Vandal and also Thrill. I could do that instant speed, but I think I'll do it this turn just to make sure I make a Fairy. And I can put up a Quarter Monitor as a pretty good blocker. So I think I attack first to make sure I untap something here. Next turn he should be dead, and then Quarter Monitor can untap the dragon. Or another Chump Blocker, but I do have another Chump Blocker up, so this is looking good. Alright. Managed to get there against blue, mono blue mill. And currently 3-0, just 4 more wins and I can get 7-0, but we'll keep playing this. Alright, Fairy Vandal on 2 with Thrill, this seems good. I do need double blue for the Charm Sleep, but Opportunistic Dragon should come online eventually once we top deck a land. Start with blue since we know we're playing Fairy Vandal and flashing in on turn 2. Opponent's on green, Wildwood Tracker, so he's looking to be quite aggressive. We could ambush him if he attacks next turn and doesn't play anything pre-combat. Alright, and he does have something pre-combat, so don't think we're blocking. I could lock that down with a Charm Sleep next turn if I need to. 4 damage is a lot. I guess I could lock down the artifact with the Opportunistic Dragon if I need to. Ooh, Charm Sleep looks fine here. I don't hate it. I could also just Thrill and just take 3. But a Charm Sleep on curve is not bad. So I think I'll do that. And he didn't have any plays to follow up, so it's decent to slow him down. And it's gonna, and he'll have to pay 5 mana to get the Rosethorn Halberd back, anyways. 7 dwarves, not a human. I run away together, which is looking fine. I guess the Opportunistic Dragon makes sense here. We can take control of the artifact. I mean, he can still switch it around, but it doesn't have any abilities, so it's not going to do anything. I just want to get this out as a 4/3 flyer. Could have a removal spell, I guess, for the Opportunistic Dragon. Obviously not blocking, because that implies a combat trick. Wicked Wolf, okay. Well, he's taking out the Fairy Vandal, that seems reasonable. Now Bone Crusher Giant seems solid. I think I'll just main phase it, so I can play it out. And then I can attack him for 4 in the air, maybe just trade off for the Wicked Wolf, I don't mind that. You could have Outmuscle, but that will be the worst case scenario since this could have Adamant, file off the flyer, and I'll have to take 4 again. I don't really want to bounce back, run away together. So I think it's reasonable to trade here, just so, I guess he has a pump spell, since he's been implying that with the 7 dwarfs, so I probably don't want to block, at the very least. Yeah, I don't want to block here, because that implies a pump trick. He's been holding on to it for a long time now, so otherwise I don't understand the attack of the 7 dwarves in the first place. And then Adversary, I can bounce back, I guess. Ooh, Sage of the Falls. I could just take 2 from here. I could just leave up Runaway. I guess I can't attack past his 2/3 anyways. I guess I could just play out Sage to block the 3/3 and then attack with the 4/3. I guess I could just block and run away together next turn. Do I attack with the Bone Crusher? This is a lot of damage. And the Sage can maybe help me stabilize. So I think we go for it here. Do I run away here? I could run them both away back. Depends on what he uses here. If he uses a pump trick, I'm definitely going to do it. I think Sage of the Fall is fine here. And I think, do I discard Thrill? I think I need Thrill as a value engine. Actually, I can draw a card first. And I guess I discard the land, obviously. We can just say go. Still don't mind taking 3 from this Wicked Wolf. I should keep up the Runaway to act as a interaction spell. I could just block this, in fact. And if he wants to use a Bargain, I can absorb the damage. And I do have ways to draw anyways. I just don't want to keep taking damage. You could use a pump trick. I guess that was just a bit of Okay, Serkara is powerful. But I think we should still be fine. Now I could use Bloodhaze Wolverine and keep up Thrill and discard Runaway maybe. If he wants to ping down my Bloodhaze, and I can trade with a first striker. That isn't looking too awful. So I think I'll do that. Yeah, I think I'll draw here. Cauldron looks fine. I do want my Thrill at instant speed. I think the Cauldron might be a little bit too slow. Could take the Runaway together. Yeah, I think the Cauldron is too slow. I think I'm fine discarding it here, and then we can attack with the Opportunistic Dragon and keep clocking him. So I think I'm liking this. Say go. If he tries to ping my Wolverine, I can just Thrill at the very least. I guess I can still block with a Sage. I mean, I guess I could just try the Bloodhaze trick. I mean, he could do it at instant speed, I guess. So I think the play here is just to Sage here and block. I think Runaway together might be a little bit important, so maybe if he does ping the Wolverine, I can let that go. Seems like a once in future turn here. And then end of turn, I guess I could just bounce Serkara and Bloodhaze and maybe get in for 6 lethal. Out Muscle, I can play around the Runaway, so it seems pretty good here. If he just untaps, I guess. Do I use Thrill? Probably not. I could. But nah. I guess this is 6 power anyway, so I might as well let that resolve. And he could have Out Muscle now, and then I can play around it with the... Yep, I knew he has it. So he's just doing this to play around Runaway. Or he could have once in future here. Guess he might be hovering it over to kind of try to trick me into thinking it's once in future, because he would once in future for Adamant. Without Adamant, I guess he's gonna get back to 7 dwarves. I think this is fine. I guess this is for 4 mana, so I don't understand why he's doing this. He can cast it for 4. Could just run away that together. Well, I don't have the extra creature, so I could just Thrill. Yeah, I'll just Thrill at instant speed here. Maybe I can find something. And Scorching Dragonfire off the top for lethal. Alright, yeah, this deck is looking incredibly powerful. Currently 4-0. Ooh, pretty sweet draft. Let's see, just 3 more victories and we can get set to 7. Let's keep going. Alright, Improbable Alliance on 2 with Opt and Thrill. This is looking very good. Obviously keeping. I don't think I want to activate Opt right away since I want to get value from the Improbable Alliance. So I don't think I'm going to use it end of turn. Hopefully he doesn't have a Return to Nature here. But this Improbable Alliance is definitely looking very awesome. Could just use Thrill to be more mana efficient. But it can be used on instant speed on the opponent's turn. But it is a lot more mana efficient, so I could just use it next turn, discard away a land. Could just do it end step on the opponent's turn. Could just opt here, to be honest. Maybe we could play another 2-drop playable, and then we can thrill on their turn. Scalding Cauldron, don't hate it. Yeah, don't hate it. It's not the best, but it can be something we can do on turn 4 to get rid of something. And now I don't mind the mountain, and then we can discard the island end of turn. And I'll eventually get the 6 mana for this Improbable Lines to constantly go off over and over and over again. Opponent is on black-green foods. Yeah, we'll just respond by the island by doing this. I could just Cauldron next turn. I mean, this turn to just on my turn, this turn to get rid of this Rose Thorn, so it won't go off and help him ramp. And I think I will just to slow him down. Other than that, I could just Tomb Raider here, but I think this Cauldron is actively good to kind of slow the opponent down. Then we can attack in for 2. Land off the top would be good, so I can draw and discard with Sage of the Falls and also get the Improbable Alliance going. Opponent splashing blue. A little bit awkward, but I did slow him down. I guess he wants to flash. He could have flashed this in, but now I guess I can Charm Sleep it. I could just play it slow, in fact, and just play the Sage of the Falls. Why not? And I can lock this down the turn after. Alright, Improbable Alliance is good, but I think it has to be the Tomb Raider here. And I guess I can draw a card now. And I guess I can discard. Alright, he has the Return to Nature. The great news is I can play it again. I do have a second copy. I can lock down this Fairy Vandal and start getting in as well. Searing Barrage at the top isn't bad. Could just Charm Sleep this, of course, and just maybe try to get in there. Or I can just take it slow, play another Improbable Alliance. I think Opportunistic Dragon can do better. Could just Charm Sleep, kind of have him waste his time with this Fairy Vandal. I don't hate it. The most mana efficient would be the Steering Barrage, I guess, since Charm Sleep can answer a big creature. So yeah, I may have just fired off now. Just to be mana efficient, get this out of the way, and at least get in some damage while I can, since I can't play defense forever. And the opponent's going to be pretty upset once he knows I have another Improbable Alliance on the battlefield. Opponent should have flashed this into ambush a 1/1 at least. I think that was a bit of a misplay. Adversary, I can Charm Sleep, and I think I'll do that so he doesn't draw a million cards off of this. Yeah, I think I'll do that. Or I can chump it and play out the Opportunistic Dragon, which I don't hate. And then next turn I can activate the Improbable Alliance. Since he might have a bigger creature that I want to deal with. This is for damage though, but this is a lot more better. Yeah, I think I'll do this. Just to put more pressure on the opponent. This isn't a human, so it doesn't exile, and I can get in there for 1. Ooh, I guess I can loot with the Sage of the Fall, so I can still keep up a flyer. Yeah, I think we'll do this. To get rid of a land, of course. I could do it again. I could decline. I don't get really any trigger activations off of it. So, yeah. Guess we can send in for 2. We can chump block with the 1/1 token on this 2/3. And having him draw a single card isn't the end of the world. So he could just kill the 1/1 and try to offer a trade here with the Opportunistic Dragon, which I don't want, so I'll probably chump. I can probably just take 2 and have him draw a card. Opponent's playing a weird Sultai deck with, alright, so that got out of the way. So I guess I can block now the Fairy Vandal and lock it down next turn with Charm Sleep. Guess he's just gonna do this. I guess I can Charm Sleep now and also Bone Crusher Giant. I don't hate it. Could just trade off for a Fairy here. Like, I could just Bone Crusher Giant on the better creature. Maybe even shoot at his face end step, so I think this is fine, just attacking. He's still taking 4 for now, and I can shoot him end step in the face with the Bone Crusher Giants. So I think this is fine. Now, opponent has a weird Sultai deck. I think he's going blue-green, splashing black. He's probably going to use the food to sack, and then alright, the Wishful Merfolk I can shoot down, so luckily, thank god I hold on to the Bone Crusher Giant. Could have a counter spell, I guess, but I think he's holding priority to food. Alright, I guess I can just activate the Improbable. I mean, I guess I can get a trigger off Sage of the Falls anyways. So I think I'll just play this out. He can sacrifice food, draw a card, and then I can hit in for 4. And Yorvo, okay. Well, I don't know if it's reasonable to pick Yorvo if you're going triple color. It might be a bit of a stretch. Yeah, let's get rid of Runaway since the Moonlit Scavengers can help bounce. And we can decline this, and then we can get in for 3. And next turn I can Moonlit Scavengers away the Yorvo. Yeah, a little bit of a stretch if you're looking to splash a Yorvo. I mean, I think his Black Splash was a little bit way too much, I think. So really don't agree with the opponent with this deck. So it's currently 5-0. Let's get to 7. Let's keep trying. This deck is really powerful and busted at the moment, so quite happy with this draft. Alright, I can turn to Bone Crusher. I would need a third land to play it. Fourth land to do Opportunistic Dragon. The fifth to play Circara and Moonlit Scavenger. So I think this is a mulligan, at the very least. I now have both my lands. I have a Thrill to loot. So I think this is a keep here. What should I bottom? Maybe the Bloodhaze Wolverine. Sage of the Fall can be pretty decent in the late game. If I bottom Sage, I guess I can turn to Bloodhaze, but I think I want to turn to Bone Crusher maybe. So I think we can bomb the Bloodhaze since maybe Sage can do a lot more in the late game just to get some trigger activations going. And it's a better blocker. This is just a 2-1, so let's keep this. Hopefully he plays a 2-drop. We can Bone Crusher it away. Or a 1-drop. Alright, here I think I'll just play Mountain, say go. Next turn we can play out Scalding Cauldron, keep up Bone Crusher. Don't necessarily need to Thrill right away since it's not necessary 2-for-1. Now this is looking excellent. We can shoot down the Bone Crusher and then play it next turn. So Bone Crusher Giant is definitely a very amazing card. First pick rare. Can't believe the bots actually passed it up. And now Bone Crusher enters the battlefield. Next turn we can play out Cauldron, flash into Fairy Vandal. Raging Redcap. I don't think I care. He could pump this, I guess. But for now, I think the game plan is to flash in Fairy Vandal end of turn. And then if I top deck another land next turn, I can use the Cauldron and kill off this Raging Redcap. But for now, I don't mind taking maybe 6 if he has a pump trick. It's not the end of the world. It is a lot of damage though, but... Rose Thorn, okay, that's scary. So this is going to be 6 damage. I can kill it next turn with the Cauldron if I need to. I could chump block with the Fairy Vandal at instant speed. Do I do it? It's still early, so I don't think I do it. I think I can do it next turn if I don't top deck a land. He would need a way to save this, of course. Makes a food, sure. I'd be happy if he plays out the Curious pair here. He could have a pump trick for the Raging Redcap. And opt. So I guess I can just opt here. Maybe guess I can thrill and then discard the opt. Maybe have a second land up. I could just Fairy Vandal again. This is interesting. I could just opt here, I guess. Hidden for 6. If I have a blue land, I can flash into Fairy Vandal. Otherwise, I'll be taking 6 again. Because this Fairy Vandal could be a chump blocker or the one we currently have. Yeah, let's opt here. I don't hate it. Opportunistic Dragon. That can get rid of the Halberd. But maybe land is a little bit more important in this scenario. I could just take 6 again and attack the opponent for 6. At the very least. Yeah, I think I bombed this. Well, that's not good, so I guess I might thrill away the Quarter Monitor end of turn. Well, I guess I could attack with the Bone Crusher, and then I can block the Raging Redcap with the Fairy Vandal and ambush with the Drill. And if he has a Pump Drink, that would suck, but at least I can kind of... Alright, so, yep. Hopefully the opponent doesn't have a Pump Trick, but I think I'm going to try to ambush with this Fairy Vandal at the very least, with the Thrill, so I can block it, and then they can both trade, so I don't take a million damage. And I can discard a Quarter Monitor, which isn't going to do anything. So I think I'd do it here just to deal with this Raging Redcap. Otherwise, I'm going to have a little bit of trouble dealing with it later. Could have a Pump Spell here. But trade would be pretty nice here. If he kills it off, I guess I can shoot down with the Scalding Cauldron next turn. But I think I'm in good hands with an Improbable Alliance and a Sage of the Falls. Alright, so now I can Improbable Alliance and then flash in the Fairy Vandal end step. And then I can start going off with the Sage of Falls and basically win the game from there. So I think it was right to bomb the Opportunistic Dragon, even though it's a powerful card. I think it was too clunky in our hands. Here I don't mind taking 3, it's not the end of the world. And I can block this with the Sage of the Falls properly in the following turns. So as long as I got rid of the Raging Redcap, I'm happy. So now I think I want triple red over triple blue, so I think I'm going to play the mountain first. Now I can constantly go off. Do I draw a card again? I think so. Because I don't really want lands forever. Could have a out muscle here, but I can still block, I guess. Could have an out muscle and a pump trick, so I should be careful. Maybe chump block with the 1/1 can be better. Circara unfortunately doesn't activate the Sage of the Falls. Alright. I should still block here. You could have a pump trick though, so I might... Okay, so I can still block this regardless. Circara looks good. I could just... yeah, I think Circara is better than the land here. Maybe save the land for the Sage discard. And I can still block the opponent profitably and draw extra cards with Circara. So I can effectively draw 3 cards per turn. If I have a non-human to play out Circara, and I think the block step makes sense here. Just block here. You could have a pump trick off the top, but I'm not going to take 4 at this point. 7 dwarves, don't care. Okay, now we can activate Circara. Deal 1 to the face. I can play out the land now. Now I can activate the Improbable Alliance. Discard a mountain. Do I need to do this? Not really. Since I do want to land to discard. So I guess we decline. And I can still get in there for 1. And I still have a chump blocker up for this 4/5. If he wants to attack all out, I can still kill 1, chump block to 4/5. And then start making more chump blockers over time. So he's going to go all out here. It makes sense for him to do this. I think I want to kill his 7 dwarves first, and then chump block to 4/5 here. And just take 2. You cover a removal spell here, because he's hovering over one of my creatures. I think he might find a Sage a little bit more threatening since it can block forever. Alright, Sundering Stroke. Right, that's a huge blowout. So I do need to be careful here. Could just Scalding Cauldron and Scorching Dragonfire the Curious pair, but then he's going to re-equip onto the Garenbrig Carver. So, the right play might just be to loot here and take 4 from the Curious pair. I have 6 mana up. I can activate this once. I guess I can have him go to combat, and then I can sacrifice the Cauldron and the Scorching Dragonfire, kill off the Curious pair, and then he'll have to re-equip onto the Garenbrig Squire the turn after. Okay, the Tree Folk. So I guess we'll just have to stack at instant speed to deal with this. I might as well use the more expensive Cauldron onto this. So this is already a nice 2-for-1 at the end of the day. He loses the Tree Folk and the Garenbrig Squire, so don't think he saw that coming. He can get in for 4, but I should be able to stabilize if I find enough good playables to constantly block and protect myself from this Curious pair. Second Improbable Alliance is pretty powerful. I think I need to loot here to find some answers instead of playing both. I think I get rid of Mountain, make a chump blocker. I might as well chump block, I guess. And then next turn I can play Improbable Alliance and loot away maybe a Scorching Dragonfire, make 2 per turn. Definitely blocking this. I can't afford to take 4. Flaxen Intruder. Well, for 3 bears, that's even worse. So I think I might be dead. Maybe I can Improbable Alliance and double block. Yeah, I should be dead here. Yeah, good plays by my opponent. The Sundering Stroke really got me. Very close. But I guess I'll fall down to 1. The opponent still has food up. He can also play out the Flaxen Intruder to eventually kill off my Improbable line. So I don't know what I did wrong there. I think the Sundering Stroke was what got me that matchup. But yeah. I can't win this without a board wipe. I guess I could Tome Raider here, draw a million cards, and maybe find an answer to this 4-5. And then still keep up Scorching Dragonfire. Like, the only way that I can deal with this is Charm Sleep at the very least. Ooh, Moonlit Scavengers isn't bad. So I think I'll do that. I should still be able to chump block and hold off this 1-2 from killing one of my Improbable Alliances. He could have Once in Future for Adamant now. I think that's what he's hovering over his graveyard for. Yeah. And another Sundering Stroke. Yep, good game. Yeah, the Sundering Stroke is just going to shoot me in the face. So, nice plays for my opponent. So currently 5-1. Hopefully we do live the 7-win dream. Almost thought I was going to go 7-0 with this deck, but Sundering Stroke is a powerful finisher. So, congrats to my opponent. Well, I do need a single blue to get this going, but if I do, this is pretty powerful. I am on the play. Do I risk it here? Probably not. Since if I don't get a single blue, this is going to be a bit of a problem. So I think I mulligan, as even though I do want to keep this. Now I can keep, and I guess I can drop the Wolverine since it looks pretty bad. And I do want to have like a late game removal spell at the very least. So this hand would have been better with our opening hand, but unfortunately, alright, Mantle. Opponent's also in the red-blue draw plan, I'm presuming, so we should be able to defend, and Mantle Tides is the most scariest card. Emery is something I do need to get rid of, so I'm happy I kept up the Scorching Dragonfire for it. Let's get rid of this right away before he can tap it and make a million artifact creatures. So nice mill, got rid of the Animating Fairy and the Shambling Suit, and also Emery is exiled. Hengewalker I'm definitely looking to kill, because it's a 3-3 that can keep pressuring me over time. Alright, Tome Raider's good, I think I'll play that out. Next turn I have access to 5 mana Searing Barrage. Opponent looks to be... Okay, I guess I can kill that. I guess I can Charm Sleep it. Maybe I can just kill that now. Charm Sleep deals with bigger stuff. I don't want to get smacked in the face for 3 damage forever. And I do want to play around Counterspell at the very least, so... Spinning Wheel, don't care. Alright, mill 4, not the worst. Did get rid of an improbable line, so that feels bad. But I do want my 6th land to maybe activate the other one eventually. So opponent has this weird mill blue-red draw 2 deck going on. I don't think I have much removal. Now I can Charm Sleep this. This seems like a good target to Charm Sleep. Especially if we can enhance it with the Mantle of Tides. Mill a bunch of playables, so hopefully I don't keep flooding out here. Keep land in hand for discard in case I need to. Get in there for 1. He could have run away together to bounce back this Lock Dragon. The Witching Well helps him scry now. Scrying 2 on top, so oh no, those are cards he wants to play. And still not doing good. We're flooding out. Opponent milled a bunch of our improbable lines that we needed. And we also used up most of our removal spells already. So this is not looking great. Could run away together here with the Lock Dragon. Yep, knew it. So this is a bit of an issue. Now he can just keep looting with the Lock Dragon and start flying over and attacking in. Wondering why he's not equipping the Mantle. I guess he can now into the Flyer to make a better blocker. A 4/4 Flyer is scary. Well, and I'm just flooding out right now, so this isn't looking good. Great. Guess I'll have to keep taking 4 in the air while the opponent finds their playables. Maybe the hand maybe I should have kept the opening hand at the very least, since it was a better hand if I got at least had a single blue up. But here I just used up all my removal spells. Well, he discards Folio. So opponent does have a weird mono blue deck going on with some red splash. Prophet of the Peak is something that's hard for me to contend with. Okay, so this is not looking great. Moonlit Scavengers can at least bounce something back, since I have the Quarter Modder in play, so I think I'll use this. What do I bounce back? Maybe the Lock Dragon or the Prophet. And I can double block the profit perhaps, so yeah, I think I'll do this. He does get another loot, but I do at least maybe can double block the profit of the peak if I have to. I mean, I guess this is going to be 6 power anyways if he equips the Mantle of Tides onto it. So it might have been right to maybe bounce a profit. I don't know. He would have got an extra scry trigger, but he would have to use a lot more mana, of course. I guess I could just chump block this profit now and potentially, well, hopefully he might get another runaway together here and opt off the top. So I could just chump block this 6/7, get in for 4. But the opponent wants to play defense and I'm flooding out, so... Alright, I guess this is a loss. I swear this could have been a 7-win deck, but by looks of it, we're not getting very good draws. We're taking 1,000,000 damage. We're gonna take damage over time. He can lock down my my playables with the spinning wheel, and then he can draw a bunch of cards as well. And come on, another land off the top. Give me a break. This is so stupid. Okay. I guess he can sacrifice a Witching Well here. Don't think... I could have attacked for 1, but I don't know. Maybe I need a chump blocker now against this flyer. I could just chump the Lock Dragon now at the very least. And the Fairy Vandal off the top. This is really dumb. Alright, the game hates us. The opponent has drawn more playables. This is not looking good. Might as well chump block the 4/4, I guess. To avoid taking 6 damage in the air. I could just take it, I guess. In case this 1/1 flyer might be a little bit more useful. So I guess I'll take 6 for now. I don't think anything can save me at this point, since the opponent has gotten better playable. So, yeah, I think I'm going to concede. He has a spinning wheel that can tap all my stuff down. I drew like 12 lands. It's pretty obnoxious. Alright, part 2 video. Stay tuned.